late last week, he appeared with Howard Stern, where he told yet another fictional entry into his biography. The latest for his resume, arrested during the civil rights movement. This entire interview was disinformation. This entire interview was an embarrassment. It was yet another embarrassment to Joe Biden, but it was also an embarrassment to the man who describes himself as the king of all media. It was an absolute embarrassment for Howard Stern, who at one time was legitimately a rebel, who pushed the limits of the FCC, who changed radio, who could definitely have staked a claim to the greatest of all time at one time when it came to talk radio, at least outside the bounds of political talk, where, of course, who reigns supreme but Rush Limbaugh. But Howard Stern was legit, and Howard Stern was a rebel. Now Howard Stern is a hand sanitizing, toting germaphobe who doesn't leave his protective bubble and kisses up, sucks up to power. Howard Stern of the 1990s, Howard Stern of the 2000s would be absolutely embarrassed by the Howard Stern of today. He spent one of his greatest skills, by the way, interviewing. He spent all that time interviewing the President of the United States, which amounted to a G-rated description would be providing a back massage to Joe Biden. But it's also an embarrassment for Joe Biden, whose lies are now so obvious that he's basically become the Forrest Gump of politics. His biography is hard to keep up with, but I tried. His biography is hard to chart, but I've tried. His biography is hard to reconcile, but Pete Hegseth and I did this weekend on Off the Wall on Fox and Friends. And so I thought we would go ahead and catalog Joe Biden, the fictional resume, the Forrest Gump of American politics. Let's start with his ethnicity. Joe Biden is the best, as best I can tell, Greek, once called Bidenopolis, raised in a Puerto Rican community. He always wanted to be Polish and has always had an affinity for the Polish community. Italian, but I think he admits that became by marriage. Raised in a Jewish synagogue, simultaneously brought up in the black church. Joe Biden is a man of many ethnicities, but the only truth, if we're playing spot the truth and not spot the lie, is he's an Irish Catholic. A Polish, Greek, black, Jewish, Italian, Puerto Rican Irish Catholic. His experience is even more fantastical. Here is the things Joe Biden has claimed to do in this one life. If my message when I began this show today was, we only get one trip, we only get one chance at this life, so take care of it and do everything you can. Boy, has Joe Biden done it all. He took those words to heart. He once, by claim, trekked 17,000 miles with Xi Jinping across the Himalayas. They racked up 17,000 miles of travel together, he and the premier of China. He was arrested during the civil rights movement from the front porch, as you just heard during that interview with Howard Stern. But it wasn't his only arrest in pursuit of racial justice. He was once arrested, according to his own telling, with our UN ambassador in South Africa, protesting for Nelson Mandela. No record, by the way, of either arrest. He once took the train, he said perhaps also a car, but took the train against the recently collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. The trouble with that story is there were no train tracks ever on the Francis Scott Key Bridge. He holds a high school record, or actually he claims to be the runner-up in the high school scoring record for Delaware, but the truth of the matter is he got fifth in scoring in his conference within Delaware. He once said he was top of his class, top half of his class in law school. Records show he graduated 76th out of 85 in law school. He once drove an 18-wheeler. No real record of when, how, or why he drove that 18-wheeler. He, of course, fought Corn Pop while saving countless lives as a lifeguard when he was a child. Corn Pop. Bad dude. And his uncle, whose plane crashed during World War II, legitimately, he claims to have been eaten by cannibals in Papua New Guinea. It's incredible, and it's probably only scratching the surface. The number of claims he has made in this life, certainly ringing it all out. The most interesting man in the world, the Forrest Gump of American politics, the fantastical disinformation, the life told by the toady to power Howard Stern, by the man of the highest power in the United States of America, Joe Biden. The return of decency.